Felice Hightower with Real Talk with Felice, Community Corner. And today my special guest is Patricia Wade, who is the creator and co-founder of RAD. And Patricia, can you tell us what RAD stands for?
RAD stands for Rock Against Domestic Violence.
And tell me, what caused you to create this group or this organization called RAD? What was your purpose?
Well, my husband and I, we work with youth, ages 14, generally through college, but they generally stay with us. Well, one of the things we found is that domestic violence is prevalent among teenagers, and we sought to educate ourselves in that area. So when we went to our very first event, a domestic violence event, I had an opportunity to listen to stories, hear different stories of women who were sharing their stories. And it just impacted us. It made such a great impression and touched our heart to the point that we said, we have to do something. We have to do something. I mean, we looked at each other before we left. We decided we have to do something. And we prayed about it, and the Lord, he told us, he said, well, what do you have in your hands? Well, like, well, what do you have in your hands? We have a rock band. We have a rock band called Rannon's Call, and we said, well, use what you have. So we decided to do benefit concerts that will raise funds and awareness, because our mantra is all about awareness. So we raise funds also we'll choose one or two organizations that help people, majority women, of domestic violence that's actually doing the work. And so we'll sow into their organization. But we do a series of concerts where we bring advocates, give voice to survivors, and for the community at large in conjunction in a rock concert.
So if somebody wanted to be a part of your organization, how would they reach out to you? What would they need to do?
Well, you can go to our website, www.radcharlotte.org.
Okay.
And
any requirements to be a part?
You just need to care about people.
Okay. No training or orientation?
No, we take care of all of that once you're.
Okay,
yes.
Great. And it sounds like you go out, you have these benefit concerts.
Yes.
And the proceeds from the concert go to organizations that are actually doing the legwork as far as helping survivors or victims of domestic violence.
Yes.
Great.
This year, will be our fourth annual event.
And where will it be?
It will be held October the 2nd at the Studio Movie Grill at the Epicenter.
Oh, nice.
Uptown.
What time would that be taking place?
It will be 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock.
Yes.
So Studio Movie Grill, October the 2nd
at the Epicenter.
At the Epicenter
in Charlotte.
At Charlotte. Nice. So you heard it first on Community Corner. RAD is having their 4th annual event, rock concert to benefit victims of domestic violence at the Epicenter at Studio Movie Grill. So if you would like to help out, please go to their website and say the website again.
www.radcharlotte.org.
And thank you for being with us.
Thank you so much.
And this is Felice Hightower, host of Real Talk with Felice. And today, the third show that I'm doing on domestic violence is about men and domestic violence. A lot of people always talk about domestic violence, not always, but most times talks about domestic violence when it comes to women. It's a lot of women who are being physically, sexually, emotionally abused in their relationships. And it's 1 out of 4 women. But what a lot of people don't know is that it's 1 out of 7 men who are dealing with domestic violence, as well as victims of domestic violence. And it's very prevalent now. And it's also prevalent in the homosexual community, LGBT community. And so we need to talk about all of it because it's affecting us as a community. And so I have my guest here today, William Wilson. And tell people who you are, what you do, and your cause.
My name is William Wilson. I'm the CEO of William Wilson Clothing. I'm a celebrity clothing designer, and I also started a foundation called the William Wilson Foundation for domestic violence.
Okay, and so, and I know, you're like the representative for all men today.
I'm like the reverse Oprah. I'm every man.
Yeah, you are. And so, what are your thoughts about why men don't come forward to share about their experiences with domestic violence?
Well, I think it's a multifaceted set of issues. One, just in general, men aren't taught to share anything. We have to reach a certain amount of emotional maturity before we can really start to share and open up about being hurt, scared, confused, all those things. Because as men, as young boys, we're taught, be tough, suck it up, deal with it. You know, you fall and bump your head on a bike, you know, put some dirt on it, keep it going. You know, that's one of those things we're taught. And then you get the pride issue, because men can be very rough with other people, with other men. So you come in and it's like, I think back to, was it Color Purple? When the guy talking about, is a hoof print, said, no, it's like a fist print, you know, and the way they chastised him.
Right.
So no man wants to be in a deal like this, you know, be like, you know, you just weak, you know, you let this woman beat you up, whatever. So there's that part of it. And it could be the fact that, you know, this is the mother of my children. And if I do this, this is going to mess up the household. Some of the same things that women deal with, when they don't report it, you know, some of the men the same thing, because they don't want to disrupt the household of the children. So I think there's not necessarily one particular issue. It could be a facet of different issues.
And so I know that a lot of men, and I heard what you said, that the cultural norms, societal norms, as far as be tough, be a man, you don't want to seem weak if you do have this female beating up on you. But what about the talking about it? Like, what is it about men that they don't talk to other men?
Because we're not taught to talk to other men. You look at little girls, and they're playing with baby dolls. They're having emotional conversations. So for two females to have an emotional conversation is the normal thing in their life. For two men, you can put them in a room, you know, one of the guys to the cameraman. You put us in a room, we're going to talk about football, sports, women, cars, politics. We may talk about everything. We may never talk about feelings and emotions and, you know, those sit down, watch the Notebook, eat bonbon kind of moments. That's not what we do. You know, it takes a while for you to have that kind of conversation. It has to be like with probably one guy that you know that you've been friends with for years.
Do you have that one friend that you do that with? Honestly.
Yeah.
How deep you go? Do you go to the deep?
Oh, we can go, yeah. I mean, I've been very blessed. I don't have a lot of issues really to deal with, but the ones that I have, I absolutely feel comfortable enough to be able to talk to him about anything.
In your feelings?
But he's earned that over the course of years of being a friend of mine.
Okay. And so, do you find that men want to be emotional? As far as, do men really want to talk about those things? I mean, I know you're taught not to, but as a therapist, I'm seeing more and more men come into mental health institutions because they've got to talk to somebody, because their world starts crashing in on them, and because they're not dealing with it, and they're not talking about it or processing it, they're going over the edge. And I mean, for lack of a better terms, and forgive me, but I'm seeing more and more men who are having nervous breakdowns.
Oh yeah, committing suicide, all types of things.
Yeah. Deep depression, and I believe it's because it's a lack of being able to talk to someone.
Oh, I fully agree. You know, everyone wants to be whole. I think we do a lot of. I've never realized till I got much older how we segregate everything. Men, women, black, white, young, old, fat, skinny, rich, poor, everything. Everyone wants to be whole. Whether you're a female or you're a male, you want to be whole. You don't want to walk around with issues. You want to be able to openly communicate with people. You want to be able to just be yourself. You want to be able to do all those things that you've always done. You want to be able to do those things. But you can't always do them if you don't have that outlet and that safety zone.
And so, how do we help, as professionals, how do we help men want to open up and want to talk about those things, especially domestic violence?
I think sometimes you just have to open up first. Someone has to open up first. You know, I remember I never told people about, you know, my situation growing up as a child, witnessing domestic violence. I carried that around a long time.
When did you talk to somebody about it? At what point?
I didn't talk to anybody. One day just put my story on Facebook.
So you wrote about it?
Yeah, I just kind of wrote about it, and really kind of even vaguely at that point. I didn't go into really deep details. Over time, I was able to go deeper and deeper into it. But I found it to be very cathartic, because I started getting inboxes and comments of people that they were going through it too. People
Was
that
it
had
men
been
or women?
More so women, much more so women, because this would be women that I didn't even really know them. They were familiar with me through my business or whatever like this, but I didn't know them. But they felt comfortable telling their story. You know, I'm a survivor, or I grew up seeing this type of thing. So that kind of deal happened. Not so much the men, but that's just not really, men don't really do that. And we're really not going to do that with somebody we don't know. We're not going to be vulnerable to somebody we don't know, because we don't know what's going to happen from it.
And how did that conversation go? What was it like for you to have that conversation with another male who had a shared experience?
Well, it wasn't a conversation. He emailed me.
Wow. So y'all still didn't really
We've never had a conversation about it. But men, that's how we are as men in general. I think if we feel we're on the same page, we don't necessarily, it's like, I get it, you get it, we're cool. We can go past that point. We don't dig to get deeper and deeper. That's just necessarily what men do. You know, we can have a homeboy that we play golf with, play ball with, hang out with, whatever. We don't know his favorite color. We don't know his favorite movie. You know, it's like, he's cool with me, I'm cool with him, and that's good enough for us.
And that's, as a woman, that's baffling to us.
That's okay, because as men, it's baffling to us that y'all have to be so much into each other's lives. We're like, because we're always like, me and my boys, we'll start talk, say, you know what? Me and my boys never get into arguments like my female friends and their friends get into arguments. And they get into deep-rooted arguments because they know so much about each other's lives. When stuff goes sideways, it goes really bad. With fellas, though, we have our falling out, we going about our business. You put us in front of a television in a football game, there's a good chance no matter what was going on, by halftime, we're past it. We've never talked about it. We never had a conversation. We're like, we need to talk. No, it's like, we get into the game, it's like, in the big scheme of things, it was probably a small deal. So we don't let it turn into a bigger thing, typically.
So when it comes to 1 in 7 men, right, being victims of domestic violence, do you not see how that programming of you, I mean, y'all really believe that, and check me, all right, but it sounds like you really believe that because that's the way y'all are programmed and grow up, that what healing can take place in that kind of dynamic?
I'm not necessarily sure that healing does take place. I'm not saying it's a good thing.
Okay.
You just asked me how we were. I'm just saying how we are. I'm not saying it's good. We do need to talk about this stuff, 'cause we do need to be made whole. That's how you break those cycles. That's how, through education, communication, comes implementation of a change. But if you don't talk about it, we can't sit and have an honest dialogue where we can throw the pride out the window. We can throw the self-esteem. We can throw the fear of vulnerability out of the window and just get real, get to, you know, as Steve Harvey says, get butt naked.
Right.
I mean, that was D.C. Curry. You just get naked with who you are. And until you can do something like that, you will never fully heal. You can't, it's like going to a doctor. You can't get a true diagnosis. I can have a headache. I can have a headache because I'm stressed out. Or I could have a sinus infection, or I could have a brain tumor, or I could have a concussion. There could be a million reasons I have a headache. I can't just go to a doctor and say, hey, I got a headache, give me something for it.
So
you got to get deeper to get a true diagnosis.
So I'm going to challenge you. I really am, William. And the reason I'm going to challenge you is because I heard you. You said even with the friend that you had the reconnection with, y'all emailed that. Let me ask you this. Are you healed from your experiences around domestic violence?
That depends what your definition of heal is.
Well, you tell me what yours is.
I don't think anyone fully heals from anything, because I think there's always some scarring that's there. And you may feel like you went through your whole life and been completely fine, you've healed through it. And then you hear something or you see something or something triggers a memory that you had completely forgotten about because you blocked it out. You know, those types of things. Or someone says something to you that puts you back in a place where you were. So I don't know if you ever fully heal because you never fully forget.
Okay, so do you think that you've had proper closure that was needed as a child who witnessed domestic violence?
What do you mean by closure?
Like, do you think that you've come to a point where you're fine or you're no longer traumatized or have issues regarding that experience?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Because I still have trouble connecting with people and fully trusting people. And I'm one of those people. Now I'm open to trusting you. It just takes time. I don't openly distrust you. If you come to me, I don't always necessarily think you're lying to me or that you're going to hurt me, but I don't automatically believe, oh, I can just trust her with everything. I can just open up and just talk to her about all the things going on in my life either.
So, as a man, how do we help other men who are in situations around domestic violence? How do we help them get the healing that they need, the self-awareness that they need, the help that they need when they're in those situations?
The same way you help women. You have to, all we can do, because especially when you're dealing with adults, all we can do is set a table for them to come eat at. We can set a buffet for them. We have to prepare the food, give them the food to cook, and give them a safe place to eat it. But we can't go out there and drag them and force them into doing something. You just have to be able to be a friend and be open and let them know, hey, if you ever need to talk about anything, I'm here. And build a relationship with someone where they're comfortable enough to be able to open up. And that may take time, because some of these scars may be really, really, really deep. And these could be people who have tried to open up before. And they open up, they finally found a friend they can open up to, and then they did, and then him and that friend had a falling out. He blasts all his information like, yeah, that's why he's at my house crying the blues about this, and then put him on blast. So now it's gonna be 3 times as hard to get that person to ever open up to somebody about that again. Because you don't know what kind of scars they went through when they may have tried before.
Do you think men would be more open to a woman's help versus another man?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Because you can take the pride part of it out. If I sit and have a conversation with a female versus one of my boys, you never really know where they're coming from. Well, I sit at a table, if I'm having an emotional conversation about something with a female, as a straight guy, I can easily say this. You automatically kind of feel like, okay, she's gonna be more empathetic, she's gonna be more understanding, she's gonna be less judgmental, those types of things, and it may not necessarily come back. Now I don't have to sit there and wonder, what are they thinking in the back of their heads? Just like I know with a lot of females, it's easier for them to talk to a male than talk to another woman.
In regards to what?
And a lot of things. I have a lot of female friends that'll call me, relationship issues. You're a man. Why do you think? Why do men this? Why do men this? Or they want to open up about something. They'll say, I'm much better friends with. I have better male friends than female friends. I think sometimes it's just what you connect better with, and where you feel more comfortable, where you can be yourself.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go through some common misconceptions when it comes to domestic violence that some people in general have, period. And they are, if you call the police will protect you. That's a misconception. That's not necessarily true. You can call the police, but I know that, and I've heard that some police officers don't even like domestic violence cases. Because 9 times out of 10, the person goes right back to the situation, so they don't even like getting involved with them. So, questions to ask: were the police involved with this incident? How did they become involved? How did that encounter go? Have the police been involved in the past? And what was your experience? What has your experience been with police? Because sometimes people have had different experience with police officers, so it doesn't always go well with them, and they already have or are jaded by it, so that can be a misconception. Another misconception is that all victims of domestic violence will benefit from a 5OB protective order, and that, of course, is a misconception, because that is a piece of paper that does not stop that person from still attempting to come at you. As we heard Pamela say in the second show, he broke into the house in the middle of the night. And so that's a misconception. One of the things that we need to ask people are you familiar with the protective and restraining orders? People need to know where they can go to do that. You go down to the magistrate's office, you find out where that county clerk office is, and that's where you go to get that protective order. And you need to know how your partner will react. One of the things that a lot of victims of domestic violence don't know is that as counselors, we don't counsel you to leave. The day you decide to leave or let your partner know, that is your most vulnerable moment. That is when they can decide, because domestic violence is a lot about control, power and control. And when they believe they're getting ready to lose that power or control, they will try to maintain it at any cost. And that's why you are hearing a lot of stories of domestic violence where it ends in murder, somebody being killed. Because when they decide to leave, 9 times out of 10, you will die. You will possibly die by leaving. And so we will counsel you on how to stay safe in your environment, and also creating a safety plan for you where you slowly start saving money and putting money aside in another bank account, having a few clothes aside that you're putting up, but creating a safety plan and a safety exit for yourself versus just immediately leaving. That is not what we counsel you to do. Another misconception is the best option for a victim is to leave the relationship as soon as possible. That is a misconception, and that is not something that we would have you to do for men or for women. And so this show is also about domestic violence in men. Mm-hmm. And so how do we help men with these situations? And one of the things I think is talking about it, and asking questions.
Yeah, I mean, communication is the key to solve most problems. But I think it also starts with education early on. Mm-hmm. You know, that, what they call it, early onset education.
Right.
Teaching young men how to communicate. Because quite often, you know, as men, especially as little boys, we're taught, you know, be tough, whatever. So our responses to everything is either happy or angry. Mm-hmm. So if you confuse us, we react in anger. You embarrass us, we react as anger. You hurt us, we react as anger. So unless we're happy, every other response that we typically do as a kid is some form of an anger response, because we're not always necessarily taught. You know, as we come out of the womb, if you hurt our feelings, we'll cry. But once you've heard enough times, toughen up, don't be a punk, don't whatever. Well, now I got these feelings I need to get out somehow. So it comes out as angry, because there's no way it's going to viscerally come out as happiness.
And that's a good point, because one of the things that we need to start doing, even with our children, even with people, you'd be surprised. It's not just men that have a limited vocabulary when it comes to feelings. Mm-hmm. People in general don't have a wealth of words to describe their feelings.